Morning, everybody. It's Dr. Bob, and I'm coming to you this morning, November 19th, 2021, from a really unusual place, the moon. Why am I here? Well, tonight is a rather rare event. It hasn't happened since 1440. It won't happen again for almost another 650 years. It's a nearly total eclipse of the moon, so a lunar eclipse. It's almost total, and what that means is that the shadow of the Earth is going to fall across the surface of the moon almost perfectly, allowing us to have what's called a blood red moon. And this event is an interesting opportunity for us to discuss the importance of the moon in God's creative plan. The moon is an unusual feature in our solar system, not because it exists simply, but because many of the other planets in the solar system have moons, but because of the oversized moon that we have in proportion to the size of the Earth. So while planets like Jupiter may have bigger moons, the planet itself is larger, and so its relationship in proportion to its host planet is completely different than the Earth. This large moon allows the moon to exercise a disproportionate effect on the surface of the Earth, which causes tides and things like that occur. Now, when we look at rocks, we know that this feature of the tides and the effect of the moon has been an important part in the Earth's development. And unlike many of the non-Bible astronomers, what we do know is that the moon and the Earth itself cannot be nearly as old as they would have us to believe. These scientists will look at an Earth that is 4.6 billion years old. The problem is the moon is moving away from the Earth at about 1.5 inches a year. We didn't know that until the Apollo program sent astronauts to the moon and allowed us to put up reflectors and see that, in fact, with this kind of precision, to see that the moon is moving away at that rate. Now, even if you had moved that back in time, what you would see is about 1 billion years ago, the moon touching the surface of the Earth. So it can't even allow us to look at an Earth and a moon that are 1 billion years old, because the effect that the moon would have had on the Earth, even as it got closer and closer. We know, of course, that it's only about 6,000 years old, which allows us to look at a moon that is only about 1,000 feet further away from the Earth than it was when it was created. So it tells us a lot about God's intention and God's attention to these kind of details, because the moon is so critical to life on the Earth. So as we look at it, we look up and we see this great event. We know that the moon is placed precisely where it needs to be. It orbits actually on the same orbit as the Earth is orbiting around the sun, which allows for lunar eclipses, and it also allows for solar eclipses. So again, a very unique event. Now, while eclipses may not seem like such an important scientific fact, they are another indication of what God has told us about the signs in the heavens. Because throughout history, people have gauged great events and recorded their events in relation to the signs in the heavens, with the solar eclipses and lunar eclipses being a major event in that. So what we see here is another example that the events that we see in the scriptures and God's creative power are exhibited in the world all around us, even with things as somewhat obscure, getting up in the middle of the night to watch a nearly full lunar eclipse. So one more example that we can look into the heavens and realize that it's okay to believe, and that God's creative power is on display for all of us to witness. Again, this is Dr. Bob from the Lunar Eclipse. It's okay to believe.